gentlemen. My name is Tunde Obaze. I am with Bridge Radio Network. I want to quickly welcome all of you to, on behalf of the Dallas Peace Center, welcome you to what I'll call a very important evening, very informative. And this seminar possibly will cover, is made possible by the generous donation of time, effort, volunteerism, and even cash from people like you, supporters of the Dallas Peace Center, people with conscience that have peace on their mind, people who don't fight for peace but negotiate peace, people who understand that there are differences, but also we must dialogue to iron out our differences. And also, I want to also thank the members of the panel that will be with us this evening. We have 6 speakers, and they'll be covering quite an area. And also, our supporters and co-sponsor, the MLFA, Rita, Lula Cancel 4871, CARE Texas, the ACLU Texas, and Border Network for Human Rights. Again, it's my sincere hope that by the time we leave here, we may have left with some information that will help guide us. We may have left with some different way of thinking that others have from ours. There's a saying in my language, don't worry about your feelings, because it's always yours. Where the conflict comes in is other people's feeling and thinking. And when they are in conflict with yours, that's when crisis starts. Just as I was preparing for this event, I heard somebody said on television, he said, an organism in conflict with itself dies. I want us to reflect on that just a little bit. As an African, I came to America because it stands for human rights, civil liberty, freedom of speech, equal opportunity for all. I'm not going to tell you what I think. Because my opinion is mine, but the question is, what do you think? I see quite a few people in the house that I recognize very well, and I see people of conscience. Also, the very first part of this seminar will be divided into 2 sessions. The first part will hear from members of the panel of activists who deal with heartache of compromised civil liberty and human rights in many areas of our society. Then our legal scholar, Chip Pitt, will help us understand how we got here, where we're heading, and how we can help to guide the direction of our laws and ethos of our country. I know Chip Pitt and I were speaking earlier. I call him in Africa, we'll call him a soothsayer, because I know Chip Pitt and I talk about even today, more than 10 years ago. One, when he said, I'll put it this way, the African way, said, a mighty wind shall blow and a heavy rain shall fall. But we didn't listen. So Hardy and so many others have cried out, but we didn't listen. But it's not too late now, because they said the reason God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth, he said we should listen twice and speak once. Going further, there will be 2 opportunities to ask questions. So as you came in, I'm sure you were given a card to write your questions, and I'm sure there will be very many of those. And at the end of the first session, we'll collect the cards, and the panelists will answer some of them. And then we'll introduce our legal scholar, Mr. Chip Pitt, who will also speak for a while, and then more questions. And any question that is not answered today, the answers will be posted on the Dallas Peace Center website, so I encourage you to reach out and check the website. Most information of what's about to happen and what is happening in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, including the nation, is often posted at the website. Well, first of all, before we go any further, we were waiting on some of our speakers. I will go ahead and call on our panelist. Is Reverend Hickman here?
No, Reverend Hickman is not.
Okay. But if I call your name, please just feel free to step up and take a seat in the middle. That's Adriana Cadena. Please, if you join us, please give her a round of applause, please. You have many more time to do that. Mr. Jesse Garcia. My brother Jesse, welcome. My brother Khalid Mick, if you take your seat here, please. Mr. David Broyles of ACLU. And my brother Chip P. Please. On my agenda, it was Reverend Hickman that first, but we're due to the traffic, and I'm sure everybody's coming here. Due to the traffic, that's my beautiful wife here. Sometimes she puts words in my ears. And also, I want to quickly let you know, if you don't have the agenda, that each of the speakers, Mr. Hickman, Reverend Hickman, will have about 15 minutes. Between Adriana and Mr. Jesse, they will have about 20 minutes, and my brother Khalid Mick, 20 minutes to speak. And also David Broyles, 15 minutes, and then we have 10 minutes of questions and answers. And then Mr. Chip Pitt will also speak to us for about 30 minutes. And then another question and answers. But hopefully we'll get done before 5 o'clock because I know you have a busy schedule. Before we go any further, this is a little surprise. I couldn't help but, and also my timekeeper, Eric will be my timekeeper. Thank you. I'm going to call on my brother, a state rep, Lon Burnham, to just give us a few words here, because I can't stop this. Lon has guided us all these years. Yeah, it's a surprise. I didn't tell him, but I know he's always got the right thing to say. Thank you, Lon.
The right thing to say is very shortly, because you have a great panel. I'll just say that in the hard, real world of governing, I was just appointed to the Homeland Security and Public Safety Committee of the Texas House of Representatives. That is a mouthful itself. We already have about 40 proposed bills before this committee. About a third or 40% of them infringe on your civil liberties. It will not be easy to kill these bills in committee. I hope as these people talk about their various perspectives and their work, you will all think about how you can contribute more to the struggle for civil liberties in this country as enhanced or normalizing crisis mode that others will get into. I want to welcome you all here today, and a little prayer for the Texas legislature would be in order.
No more, no less. Thank you, my brother. Okay, our first set of speakers today. We know that as the economy goes down, as we face the crisis we're facing in the conflict in the Middle East, the first line of casualty sometimes are the so-called aliens among us. Those who don't look like us. Those who supposedly don't serve the same God like us. I don't know what that means, but I just read it. And I remember my son asking me when he came from school one day, long time ago, when again they were kind of, he said, "Dad, I heard you're an alien." What planet did you come from, and how come you never told me that? I said, "Oh yes, I'm an African alien, but I'm an American now." Well, I'll say this. Our speakers that I'm introducing today say RITA is actually Reform Immigration for Texas Alliance, or RITA, was formed in order to provide a common voice to educate our elected officials on the need to fix America's broken immigration system. Adriana Cardena is a coordinator for RITA. She is also joined by Jesse Garcia, who is president of LULAC Council 4871, the Dallas Rainbow Coalition. And before you give them a round of applause, I need to let you know that the face of immigrant is not just the Hispanic brothers and sisters. I was one of the undocumented for 15 years. Please don't tell anybody. Now, give them a round of applause. Jesse will speak first, and ladies first, right?
Good afternoon. I'm going to set it up for Adriana. Good afternoon. Like the gentleman said, my name is Jesse Garcia. I'm president of the League of United Latin American Citizens. That's the oldest and largest Hispanic civil rights organization in the United States, founded 82 years ago in Corpus Christi. We have 700 councils throughout the nation, and we have several in the North Texas area. We have our Texas State Civil Rights Commissioner Chair, Richard Zambrano, from Council 4782 at his Farmers Ranch. I admire that man. I volunteer for a lot of civil rights causes, one of them being the Hispanic community and the lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender community. I work to build bridges among those communities so we could further civil rights for everyone. Nearly 10 years ago, 2 passenger jets brought down the World Trade Center in New York City. Another plane took out a section of the Pentagon. And citizens bravely brought down a 4th jet in rural Pennsylvania that was headed to Washington, D.C. Almost 3,000 innocent lives were taken on September 11, 2001. And the nation has since suffered tremendous loss on various fronts. More than 3,000 children were left without parents. Scores of brave police officers, firefighters, and law enforcement officials were killed, and the nation was thrown into dismay. Immediately afterwards, 2 land wars in Iraq and Afghanistan were launched, which have cost this nation $1.5 trillion and counting. But most importantly, we've lost men and women in uniform. As of February 20th, we've lost 5,885 service members in both the Afghanistan and Iraq war, including U.S. Marine Lance Corporal Jose Gutierrez, who came to this country illegally from Guatemala as a teen. He was one of the first casualties of the Iraq war, and he was one of 20,000 non-citizens who currently serve active military duty today. Within our nation's borders, we suffered a loss too. Our sense of trust and humanity died on September 11th. Immediately after that day, immigration was equated to terrorism. Hate crimes towards anything that wasn't white or Christian rose. We fell victim to paranoia and xenophobia as people quickly searched for blame. Even though the 9/11 attackers came to this nation on legal visas, somehow border crossers from the American Southwest became public enemy number 1. The only recorded terror case that was attempted through America's land borders ironically came from our northern border with Canada, when terrorists planned to bomb the Los Angeles airport on the eve of the millennium. But somehow, no wall is going up along that 5,525-mile border. There are approximately 12 to 14 million undocumented immigrants in the United States. They live, exist, and work everywhere, including those who labored in the Twin Towers of New York City. It is reported that 11 illegal immigrants were killed in the 9/11 attacks. Of those, 8 had spouses and children who were also legal immigrants. These 11 souls came to this nation for a better life. Just like those who came before them, immigrants have always come with the best intentions, but are always met with the worst conditions. The majority of today's undocumented citizens came to this country legally on student, vacation, or work visas, and simply overstayed their visa. They didn't illegally cross the Mexican border as some people would like you to believe.